Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Magic Shine MOH55 4000 lumen headlamp. Although Magic Shine is best known for their bike lights, they've recently expanded into the outdoor light market with flashlights and headlamps. Today we're going to be looking at the brightest headlamp in the MOH lineup with the MOH55. Now, even though this is marketed as a skiing, camping, hiking headlamp, we're going to review this in terms of a cycling light. Now, packaging wise, it's really simple. You have their nice cardboard box with this reflective graphic showing the headlamp on here. You have their orange and black graphic scheme, which really matches with all of our other Magic Shine products. Really simple box. Some of the specs here on the bottom with the lumen output, some of the USB charging capabilities. Now, what I have here is the standard version. I'll go ahead and take this out of the box. There are actually two versions. The standard version is $199.99, and it comes with the MJ6116 battery pack we have here. There's also a Pro version of this that has the larger battery pack, and that's $299.99, which we have here. This battery pack is shared with the Montier 8000S as well as the 6500S, so if you already have those lights, you can actually upgrade your MOH without buying the Pro. So you can see bigger battery pack, longer output, and USB Type-C charging with the Pro version. Both of the Pro and the non-Pro have the same headlamp, and that comes with 4000 lumen output. It uses a dual Cree LED design with the XHP 50.2 LEDs. It's IPX6 waterproof. And it also has a Garmin compatible mount, which is a really great feature. So you can mount this with the included headlamp strap or using standard bike mounts. Now, in terms of what comes in the box, quite a lot actually. So you can see with the standard version, you get the headlamp, which is the same whether you get the Pro or non-Pro. You get the headlamp with this GoPro attachment to a Garmin mount. So really nice. You can actually share this with other devices, like your GoPro or other Garmin compatible lights. You get their Magic straps. So these are just simple Velcro straps, and they go through the little slots in the battery pack. And what's cool about either battery pack is they have removable connectors. So with the standard version, you can see it's a larger connector. This is a micro USB design as well. It simply attaches here, but when you don't want to use it with the light, you can put the little rubber cover on and use this as a power bank. So a lot of versatility there. You have a micro USB charging cable. With the Pro version, you get the USB Type-C charging cable. And the Pro version also has USB Type-C charging and discharging. So pretty cool to see that modern type feature. You get a user manual as well as these little wire clips to route the wiring along the headlamp strap and down your back or wherever you want to mount the battery. Note, the Pro version also comes with a couple accessories we don't show here, such as the helmet mount and an extension cable. Now let's take a look at the weight of the MOH55. Now what I like about the wired setups is that the lights themselves are really light. So you can see the headlamp is 94 grams, so really compact and lightweight. Most of the bulk is actually the battery pack. So if we look at the standard battery pack, that comes in at 294 grams. And then the Pro version, which has a lot more runtime and capacity, that comes in at 410, so nearly double the weight. Now let's go over the fit and finish of the MOH55. Now right out of the box, it's really impressive how small and compact the light itself is. Even though it has a dual LED design, it's very compact since it's a wired setup. It's an aluminum housing, so really sleek. The lens is not protruding, so you don't have any side visibility, which is one negative. But you have all the heat dissipation fins actually built into the housing itself. So you see along the back, along the sides, and also seems like there's little intakes on the corners. So it's a rounded rectangle with these little sharper edges on the side for heat dissipation. So a sleek design. You have a single power button on top. Now this is also illuminated, so it'll go red, green, or flashing red when it's lower battery status. The LEDs are designed with a 28 and 120 degree spot and flood pattern, so really nice uniform beam to it. And one of the best features of these lights is the fact that it has the Garmin mount built in directly. So this lets you use this with any compatible Garmin mount, and since there's so many accessories out there, you can attach the Garmin to a GoPro with the included little attachment for the headlamp. So tons of versatility, you can mount it anywhere. Now the wired setup actually comes out to the left at a sharp angle, so that limits you a little bit of how you mount this, so you have to route this around your handlebars, or if you use the headlamp, off to the side. Now one thing is, with this power setup, with such a huge battery, it's a lot less versatile as a headlamp itself, so the other lower end models of the MOH lineup allow you to actually mount the battery here on the back, so really more compact with this. These are huge, so obviously you're going to have to put this in your pocket. So as a headlamp, I think it makes less sense, but as a cycling light, I think it's a really great option. So with the Pro version, you get the helmet mount. So it's a great compact light you can either use as a secondary light or on your handlebars with the out in front mount. Now let's take a look at the batteries. So this is the standard version, has cool little graphics on here, really nice self-contained unit. And what's great about these is Magishine has really improved their wire connections and some of the feature sets. So with this one, you get a standard micro USB connector. And you can also charge other devices with the USB port on here. Now, even with the rubber gasket on, you can check the battery status. So you can see it shows you 3 LEDs. You can also remove that and see it a little more clearly. What I really like about this is a great power bank. So if you have a cell phone or any other device you need power with, when you're not using the bike light, you can simply leave this gasket on and then use it that way, or connect the bike light connector on here, which just snaps in, and use it as a bike light with the little round black port. So a really nice feature and makes it a lot more versatile. Now the big difference between the standard and the non-standard version is the $100 difference and the larger USB Type-C battery pack. So this has more output, higher capacity, similar feature set. So you have the rubber backing, it's bigger obviously, and shared with the Montier 6500 and 8000S. So similar to that one, you can check the battery status by clicking the little button, or removing that and seeing the LEDs a little more clearly. Now this has USB Type-C charging and discharging, which is a really cool feature. And then if you want to connect this with your actual bike light, you remove the gasket on the same side and attach the smaller connector. Now it's worth pointing out that Magishine has really improved these connectors over time. So that used to be one weak point of a lot of the wired Magishine light setup. So our setups would usually start to fray at the ends. But you can see here it's a lot more robust and better built connectors with this more wire ribbon style and reinforced edges. So you can see they're both reinforced here, so they should last a lot more longer with more heavy duty use. Now let's look at the light output from the MOH55. Here we have the 4 constant modes, and as you can see, the run times depend on whether you have the Pro version or non-Pro version. Low is really low, while medium is decent, and then high is very bright. And turbo is kind of ridiculous. At 4,000 lumens, it's double high and really lights up the road. SOS is also a nice way to have some daytime visibility with the flash pattern. Now we tried riding this in 2 ways. We did the handlebar mount, and here you can see I believe this would be turbo or high. It's really bright, so really wide beam, good throw. So this is good for trail riding and even road riding. As you can see, it really lights up everything. Low mode is really dim, so at 100 lumens it's not very useful, but it's good for camping or outdoor use where you don't need that much light. Now when you're on the trail and you access turbo mode, it's kind of ridiculous. You can see everything's lit up. It's almost too bright really, and it does throw shadows. That's one downside of that low mount. Anytime you have bumps, you'll see those dark patches, which can be a little distracting when you're riding. But otherwise, really good throw, and with the compact size, it doesn't take up much space. So with the small size of the MOH, it makes a lot of sense to actually helmet mount this, which we did here. We have the Alti 800 on our handlebar and the MOH on our helmet. And as you can see, you get the best of both worlds. With the handlebar mount, you get a good spotlight. And then when you turn your head, the MOH lights it up. And the great thing about having it higher mounted is you can see the shadows are much less because it's higher mounted. It hits the ground at a higher angle and prevents all the low shadows. It really helps when you go around corners with that wide beam of the MOH as well. So definitely one of our preferred ways to ride with it. It would have been nice to have a remote so you could see the battery status and you don't have to reach up to change the modes though. So now let's do a quick comparison between the MOH55 and some other lights on the market. Now, one obvious comparison here is the big boy, the Montier 8000. It's also the same housing with all the other Montiers. And you can see they share the same LED model, but with the MOH55, they simply downsized it. So same power button, similar aluminum housing design. Obviously, the MOH55 is just more compact, since they've essentially taken 2 of the LEDs instead of using a 5 LED setup. You get the same Garmin mount, and then the same wire setup that goes off the side. They're pretty cool to see side by side, and because they share the same battery pack, that means if you already own one of these, you can actually share the battery pack between them. It's a really nice feature and get more versatility. Now obviously with the wired setup, the 4000 lumens that you get is a lot bigger. You end up with a lot bigger package than a standard commuter light like the Alti 2000. So you can see half the output, but obviously half the size because it has half the battery. And personally, I prefer the wired setup, as it lets your handlebar be really small and compact, and you just attach the battery to your bike frame. Now, the battery packs don't have replaceable cells like the Fenix does, which is one downside, but obviously a lot cheaper and less bright with the Fenix. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the MOH55. What we like about the light is that it has a very compact design. It also produces a very nice uniform and wide beam with the dual LED design. There's no hot spots and it has a very nice flood to it so you can really see the trail. Also, we really like the fact that Magic Shine has separated the flash mode from the constant modes, so you don't inadvertently hit the flash mode when you're riding. Some of the cons for the light is the fact that it has no DRLs. That'd be a really nice feature to have so you can use this in the daytime without running down the battery. It also lacks a remote, which means helmet mounting is a little more awkward, as you have to reach up to access the power button and change modes or check the battery status. Also, the individual batteries inside the battery packs are not replaceable, so that means if the batteries do fail in the future, you have to replace the whole pack. It would be nice if they were individually replaceable to lower the cost. Taking everything into account, we'd give the MOH55 a 9 out of 10. This is a really nice, compact, and bright light. Despite only having 2 small LEDs, it produces a really nice beam that's great for road riding or trail riding. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.